EPLANT-Piping Advanced tutorial. This presentation shows how to modify already defined material report formats, as well as how to generate new ones. Most of the examples will be on the project piping material table. To the end of this video, examples of the line list report will also be shown. We select this option. All EPLANT reports are applied to a table, whose name is indicated in the header of the field definition window using an alias, which is a conventional name that references the physical table that in each project will have a different name. We exit the field definition and open the project piping material table. In its header we can see the table real name that ends with the letters PIP. Its alias will be P_PIP because it is a project table and its last letters of its physical name are PIP. This is a general rule. Let's look now at the component codes table. Being a system table, its alias will use the S_ prefix, followed by the table name. This one is a general rule also, and it helps to understand the contents of each alias. We come back to the definition of a filter for a report. If we enable the filter definition, the columns of this list are those corresponding to the table shown in the bottom menu using its alias. If we select this one, which is the table with the line list, the columns change, reflecting the structure of this table. And to the right we see the values taken by the first field, which is selected by default. As an example, we select the area field. We see how to the right the defined areas are shown. We select the second one. A filter is now defined that will limit the report to include the material associated to the C17B area only. In the same way, we can set filters on parameters of any table appearing in the table selection menu. We'll see now how to define the report format, selecting as an example the material report of one line. Let's begin with the text file report. The way reports are generated is similar for both text and XLS formats. In both cases, for each table that can be reported, there is always an active format definition associated to that table. This avoids selecting, for example, an equipment report format for a piping material table. Each report format is identified with the name and the description. With this button, the report is generated, while with this one we can modify its format. From this window we can do several tasks. To begin with, we can generate a preview, very useful during the creation of a new format. We see that, being a text file notwithstanding, we can define a header and include variables in it. We have here the option to avoid defining a header, in case we do not need one. The header definition button is therefore disabled, and we could look at how the format is changed. Above each column, either its name is placed or a text set in the report format definition. We can look now at how the report contents is defined, selecting this button. Let's look in detail to each column. Each line of this table represents a parameter value to be included in the report. In the first column, the parameter is defined, and it could either be the name of a column of the main table or one of the related tables, or an internal variable as well. For example, code is the name of a column of the piping material table. Given that in this second column an alternate text is not defined, the name above this column will be the same code. Remember that we have selected the option with Easy Header. Here we define the position from left to right where to place the first character of the coda value. Here we define the line number where each instance of the coda value will be placed in the report. In this case, the report is made by one line only. Here the total length reserved for this field. In this case, given that the column to list does not belong to the main table, its alias must be used as a prefix. It is the description associated to the end 1. The following line is for the end 2, which is only listed if different from the end 1. In these cases, it is convenient to force an alternate text as a header of this column. Let's see a particular case. It is the case of descriptions associated to codes, in this case to the component code. As the description language are language dependent, instead of using a direct reference to a column name, it is better to use a variable that contains the name of the description column corresponding to the project language, placed after the table alias. For example, if the language were English, this variable will translate to des_e, or des_s if Spanish, and so forth. At last, if the column is numeric, we have to convert its value to characters using the str function. Coming back to the header definition, this enables the button to modify it. It is basically a text file that is placed at the beginning of the report, but it is possible to write variable values inside it. Those variables must be identified with the letter H in the code GH column in the format definition. We also have this option to import a format defined in another project, selecting the other project folder and next the required format from a menu where only those formats associated to the current main table to report are shown. This option allows adding a new field to the active format. This option instead allows duplicating a format, assigning a new name intended as a base to create a different one. Let's look now at the differences with the definition of XLS reports. We find the same options as before, for example the preview, but now we are confronted with an Excel worksheet. In this case, the header is an Excel template that can have an arbitrary definition. The important thing is to set the first line, or lines if more than one, where the report will be generated with respect to the template. The report contents will have the characteristics, text font, borders, etc. corresponding to this line. The report generator can also write data into the header, as in the case of reports to text files. We shall see here that cell names will be used as coordinates. Let's see how the format is defined in this case. It is very similar to the text format except by using cell names to set the writing position. Variables to be written into the header must be marked with an H in this column. In case this format defines groups, which means that the header will be copied in the same file whenever the group variable changes, as in the case of line report with several lines in it, the sorting key must be defined, in this case line, placing the letter G for group and specifying the range that defines the header itself. Here is the page number, which being a number must be transformed to character. The same happens with the quantity. Let's see now an example of multiple formats defined for the same table. By default, the line list always has 3 different formats already defined. When more than one is available, this button is enabled, and it is used to change the active one, which is the one used to generate the report. We can see here 3 different formats. We change to the first and generate a preview to see its content. We can see it is a lined list with all its parameters included. Let's change to another format, for example to this one with the line status only. The multiple formats option is also available for output to text files.